Pulp Fiction is written and directed by Quentin Tarantino and stars John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, and so many other great characters. And also a quick little Christopher Walken little cameo also thrown in there. I didn't even know that one of the stars from Batman Returns and one of the best actors, maybe of all time, is in this movie. I kind of forgot about it. Hi, I'm Christopher Walken. Sorry, my impressions kind of suck. Now let's start talking Pulp Fiction. So Pulp Fiction, before we even get started with this is truly one of my favorite movies of all time. It is 100% my top 10 movies of all time without a doubt. This is honestly one of those movies that I consider to be a masterpiece. This is my favorite Quentin Tarantino film of all time. And I think it's the best dialogue Quentin Tarantino's ever produced in a movie of all time. Now, I completely would understand if you thought Django Unchained or even Inglourious Basterds or even Kill Bill was better than this movie, because this film was a little different than those, in a way. Now, they all have the Quentin Tarantino dialogue. They all are kind of told out of order. And they all just have the Tarantino flair to them. But to me, Pulp Fiction is truly Quentin Tarantino's main masterpiece. The basic plot of Pulp Fiction is all based around LA, and basically there's this really powerful mob boss named Marcellus Wallace, and he has the characters of Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta both working for him, and the very start of this movie is actually the main ending of the movie. Kind of the ending of the movie. And basically these two are working for Marcellus Wallace, and he also, Bruce Willis, like I said, is in this movie. I kind of forgot he was in this movie. When I watched it for the third time last night, I was actually a little surprised because there's so many great characters in this film that I forgot about Bruce freaking Willis, one of the best action heroes and best actors of all time in the 90s. I mean, now he just gets paid $20 million to basically say one line and look like he's asleep. But basically, Marcellus Wallace pays Bruce Willis money to lose a boxing fight so Marcellus can win a bunch of money for betting that Bruce Willis is going to lose. But what Bruce Willis actually does is he actually betrays Marcellus, cheats the boxing match, and actually kills the fighter he's going up against. So obviously he wins. So he wins the fighting money as well as the, I'm guessing, millions Marcellus had to have paid him for him to think that this would be enough for him and his secret lover, who basically have to run away from their apartment because they know Marcellus is going to send my boy John Travolta to try to kill him. So they go back to their hiding out, and there's this little, and the reason Bruce Willis has to leave is because his dad has a watch, and he gives the watch to Bruce Willis, but he ends up dying in war, so it ends up getting stuck up his ass, and also stuck up Christopher Walken's ass. It gets stuck up a lot of asses to get to Bruce Willis, so you can tell this is really sentimental to him. I mean, I probably wouldn't wear it, but Bruce Willis, it's his father, he's dead, he died in war, so he goes back to his apartment like an idiot to grab his watch, ends up killing John Travolta's character, escaping, and then him and Marcellus actually end up parting ways, and then they end up in a little shop, and some weird shit happens in the shop. And the first time I watched the movie, I was only 8 years old, so you can imagine an 8-year-old Gianmarco watching this film, seeing what happens in that basement, and I kind of didn't know what was happening. I kind of just guessed. Never knew the guy from The Mask was going to be raping Marcellus, but that happened. So then Bruce Willis ends up saving Wallace. He kind of takes his sweet ass time to save Wallace as he's getting raped, and so he saves Wallace, and then they end up being cool. The amount of great one-liners in this film is just amazing. Nah, man, I'm pretty fucking far from okay. And there's just so many other ones. That's personally my favorite line of the whole movie. Foot massage. I'm the foot fucking master. I mean, this is just an excellent movie. Also, in the middle of the movie, there's a little subplot. And this is really the only time Uma Thurman is in this movie. John Travolta and Uma Thurman. So Uma Thurman's actually Wallace's wife. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. And he asked John Travolta to take Uma Thurman out on a nice date. So they end up going out to dinner. But John Travolta's actually secretly a drug addict. He gets heroin. Uma Thurman thinks it's cocaine, so she stuffs it up her nose. Then her nose instantly starts bleeding, and she ends up ODing. She doesn't die. She actually gets saved by John Travolta. They go home, forget it all happened. It's just a little subplot. It's just entertainment at the end of the day. Now let's talk about my personal favorite actor in this whole movie, Samuel L. Jackson. He kind of plays the most badass, not detective. He's just the most badass of the two partners, in my opinion, between John Travolta and him. So before he ends up killing the people that Marcellus tells him to go kill, he says this dope scripture passage, And so at the very beginning of the movie, they actually end up almost dying, but that ends up being the very end of the movie. They don't show them almost dying until the end of the movie because it just stops and cuts to later in the day because Quentin Tarantino is just fucking high when he makes this movie. And Samuel L. Jackson thinks it's a miracle. John doesn't really care. So Samuel L. Jackson ends up retiring from his career. He ends up being done. They go to have breakfast. And they're talking about how all the friendships and all the good times and bad times. And Samuel is dead serious about him wanting to quit. So John leaves. And then the very beginning of this movie shows two crackheads attempting to rob a restaurant. But then it cuts. We then find out at the very end of this movie that Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta are at that exact same restaurant that's about to be robbed. While it's getting robbed, Samuel L. Jackson ends up pulling his gun out, getting the robber, pointing at his head. But instead of killing him like he normally would, as he says, if I wasn't having this good of a day, and he almost dies, so... But since a miracle happened, he didn't. He doesn't kill him. He ends up telling him actually what the scripture passage really means, and basically what he's saying is, he's the weak, and and Samuel Jackson's the strong for not killing this guy and actually helping him out. Now he ends up leaving. The gun Samuel Jackson has ends up not even being loaded. That crazy crackhead girl could have just shot Samuel and shot John Travolta, and everything would have been fine. Everything ends up actually being fine, so they end up just leaving. And it's just one of the best, most badass moments in movie history. This movie, all in all, is just... It's truly a masterpiece. And now, the acting in this movie is superb. The one kind of not... It's a little issue. People talk about how great John Travolta in this movie. I'm not taking it away from him. He was excellent. He did everything he had to do. You're just gonna say goodbye, go home, jerk off, and that's all you're gonna do. Did you used to order a $5 milkshake? It's not a $5 milkshake, but it's pretty fucking good. He's excellent in this film. But people are acting like it's his best performance. And it might be, but I feel like he kind of just has the same tone, the same face throughout the whole movie. I feel like Sam, he actually has to act a little bit. And I don't know. It's just always bugged me a little bit, but I'm not taking it against him. If you think it's his best film, I probably would say it's his best film. And I just... I don't know how to say it. I just think John Travolta wasn't as great as people say he is. I think Samuel Jackson did a little bit better job of doing it. Now, I also forgot to mention, this movie has one of the best product placements, probably the best product placement in movie history. This is a tasty burger. Can I have some of your beverage to wash this down? I mean, while doing notes for this review, I have a full... Here, I'll just freaking show you. I got all these pages talking about the amount of lines just in this movie. The amount of lines I could say. Every single line in this movie is sick. I don't know what it is, but Quentin Tarantino just did an amazing job with this movie. He does an amazing job with, in my opinion, every movie except Jackie Brown, which is my least favorite Tarantino film of all time. Now it's time for the final Marco's Movies opinion. Overall, Pulp Fiction, in my opinion, is one of 15 to 20 cinematic masterpieces. It's the movie that originated the kind of way movies are filmed, where they're told out of order. The dialogue, this is probably my favorite script of a movie of all time. The little couple action scenes are so fun. And this movie is almost 3 hours long, and I felt like I was watching it for about 20 minutes because it went so fast. This movie's it's so epic, but it's all dialogue. I don't know. It's amazing. I'm going to go ahead and give Pulp Fiction an A+. And this for sure gets the A+ of an 100% rating. This is just truly one of the best movies of all time. This is one of cinema's masterpieces, and I could probably watch... And I watched Pulp Fiction 3 times in my lifetime, like I said. And I watched the first time when I was about 8, and I've watched it 2 more times since I was 15 or older. And I'm probably going to watch this movie again in like a couple weeks, because I finally bought the Blu-ray Steelbook, which you can find linked in the description actually on this video. Make sure you click that link so you can get yourself a copy of Pulp Fiction. But this is just one of the best movies of all time. I couldn't recommend this movie enough. Thank you guys all for watching. If you enjoyed this movie review and you enjoy movie reviews such as this, a teenager talking about his subjective opinion on movies, make sure you hit that subscribe button and comment down below your opinions on Pulp Fiction and what is your favorite Quentin Tarantino film of all time. But as always, keep watching